Enough is enough! Justice served!
The morning peace in our quiet suburban enclave shattered with the thunderous whir of helicopter rotors slicing through the clear blue sky. Our sleepy street in Willowbrook Estates, a typical American neighborhood with manicured lawns and white picket fences, suddenly turned into a spectacle worthy of a blockbuster movie. Folks tumbled out of their homes in robes and slippers, clutching steaming mugs of coffee, their eyes wide as smartphones lit up to record the chaos. And then came the piercing wail. Barbara, our iron-fisted HOA enforcer, exploded from her front door in a floral nightgown, her perfectly coiffed hair disheveled, her face a mask of sheer horror. She howled as thick metal cables clamped around her pristine BMW SUV vehicle. She lorded over the neighborhood like a scepter of authority. With a deliberate, almost graceful ascent, the car lifted off the ground, swinging gently in the breeze. Sunbeams danced off its glossy hood, eliciting a mix of gasps and muffled cheers from the gathering crowd. My garage entrance was clear at last, but Barbara's reign of petty tyranny was about to come crashing down in a way no one could have predicted. This wasn't just about a blocked driveway anymore. It was a showdown that would expose the ugly underbelly of neighborhood politics and spark debates about justice, power, and when enough is truly enough. I'd called Willowbrook Estates home for nearly 2 decades, back when it was a haven of simple joys, kids racing bikes down the sidewalks, weekend cookouts with burgers sizzling on grills, and neighbors who waved hello without a hidden agenda. Life was straightforward, the kind of American suburbia you see in old sitcoms, where folks looked out for each other rather than nitpick every detail. But then Barbara arrived, like a storm cloud rolling in over the horizon. From the moment she unpacked her moving boxes, the atmosphere shifted. She patrolled the streets with the zeal of a drill sergeant, scolding children for chalk drawings on driveways, scrutinizing mailbox heights with a tape measure, and issuing citations as if they were her personal decrees. I'd clashed with her before over my backyard oak tree, which she deemed overgrown and a blight on community standards. Overgrown? It was a majestic old tree that had shaded my patio for years, providing acorns for squirrels and a spot for bird feeders. I reminded her it predated the HOA bylaws by a decade. She just pursed her lips and snapped. Standards must be upheld. Standards, indeed, except when it suited her. So you can imagine my frustration when I stepped out one crisp Wednesday morning, coffee in hand, and found her gleaming black BMW parked diagonally across my garage doors. Not on the street, not even curbside, but smack in the middle of my driveway, blocking any chance of getting my pickup truck out. At first, I figured it was a mistake, perhaps a hurried parking job. But then I spotted the note tucked under my wiper blade, written in bold, accusatory print. This should serve as a reminder that no resident is exempt from HOA guidelines. Prune that oak or face further enforcement. Regards, HOA Chairwoman Barbara. I nearly choked on my coffee. This woman had weaponized her luxury car over a tree. By lunchtime, the whole block had turned into a sideshow. Neighbors wandered out under the guise of walking pets or checking mail, but everyone knew they were there to gawk. A group of teens lounged on their scooters, phones out, narrating like amateur broadcasters. Dude, she's totally lost it this time. I kept my cool, setting my mug down and calling out across the way. Barbara, care to relocate your fortress from my property? Her door swung open with dramatic flair, and out she marched in tailored slacks and a pearl necklace, wielding her ever-present notepad like a shield. Pardon me, she huffed, but this is a sanctioned restriction until you address your violation. I stared, incredulous. Restriction? This is my driveway, Barbara. My land. She smirked, adjusting her glasses. You agreed to the covenants upon purchase. The HOA reserves enforcement rights. The onlookers whispered, some stifling snickers. Barbara wasn't bluffing. She saw herself as the unchallenged ruler of Willowbrook. I placed my coffee gently on her BMW's hood. Her sharp intake of breath was priceless and said, "Shift it, or I'll have it removed." Her grin turned predatory. Try it. Our contracted tow service won't lay a finger on it. With that, she pivoted and sauntered back indoors, leaving her SUV as a gleaming barrier. The street hummed with speculation. He's trapped, one guy muttered. She's crossed a line, replied another. Phones kept rolling, turning private annoyance into public theater. As the day wore on, the absurdity sank in. This wasn't about my oak tree Anna Maria, it was a power play, a blatant attempt to dominate and demean. But I've never been one to fold under pressure. In my line of work managing a mid-sized construction firm, I've dealt with tough negotiations and tight deadlines. If Barbara wanted a battle of wills, she'd pick the wrong opponent. That night, staring at her car under the street lamp's glow, a wild idea began to form, one that would elevate this dispute to legendary status. By the second day, Barbara's BMW had morphed into a neighborhood landmark, a $80,000 symbol of her unyielding control. Passers-by treated it like a tourist spot. Joggers paused for selfies. Kids dared each other to touch it. And one enterprising fellow even set up a folding chair with a thermos, offering commentary to anyone nearby. Barbara reveled in it, strutting about in her signature cardigan and loafers, dispensing advice like a benevolent overlord. "This is what accountability looks like," she proclaimed loudly. On day 3, she hosted an informal gathering on her porch, lecturing a captive audience about fence colors and lawnmower decibels, all while her car cast a long shadow over my garage. I approached, voice laced with irony. "Morning, Barbara. How long do you plan to keep this exhibit going?" Without glancing up, she replied, "Until standards are met." I pressed, "It's a tree, not a hazard." She lowered her notepad dramatically. "Guidelines are clear. Trim it to approved height, or access remains denied." The crowd leaned in, devices capturing the exchange. Laughter bubbled up from me, echoing down the block. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" She sniffed disdainfully. "Someone must preserve our community's integrity." Murmurs rippled me. Yard was the envy of the street, with its blooming flower beds and neat edges. This was pure theater, Barbara center stage. That evening, as she patted her BMW like a loyal pet before retreating indoors, inspiration struck. If she thrived on elevation, I'd give her a literal one. I tried the authorities first, for the sheer entertainment. The local cop on the line chuckled sympathetically. "Sounds like a HOA headache, sir. Civil issue can't intervene without a code breach." Tow firms, all locked in by her contracts. They'd charge me quadruple and still refuse. The gossip mill churned by day 5, with residents rooting for an underdog victory. Old Mr. Harlan, a retiree who'd endured her wrath for years, sidled up. "I've seen tyrants come and go, but you've got spine. What's your move?" I grinned. "Patience, Mr. Harlan. Timing is everything." Truth was, I had resources she couldn't fathom, contacts from my construction days, including pals and aerial logistics. I let her bask in her triumph, dropping hints to allies that something big was brewing. Every evening, bourbon in hand on my porch, I refined the scheme, building toward a climax that would redefine neighborhood justice. There's an old adage, don't tussle with skunks, you both end up stinking, but the skunk enjoys it. Barbara was my skunk, wallowing in the filth of her own making. But I wasn't deterred by mess. My career in construction had me knee-deep in it daily. So, as I nursed my drink, I plotted a response that would transform her blockade into Willowbrook's most infamous tale. Idea 1, out-of-town tow. But her web of deals was ironclad. Idea 2, sabotage, like deflating tires. Satisfying, but beneath May craved elegance. Then, scrolling contacts, I hit gold. Eddie Chopper Malone, a former colleague now running a heavy-lift helicopter outfit for industrial halls. Visions danced, her BMW soaring skyward, a spectacle for all. Legality first, no way I'd hand her lawsuit fodder. I scoured HOA docs, local laws, and trespass statutes. Her parking stunt? Clear violation. Her car was unlawfully on my property, removable by reasonable means. Was a chopper reasonable? In suburbia, perhaps not, but precedents existed for creative removals. Over lunch with the attorney friend, I sketched the hypothetical. He chuckled. Trespass confirmed. Go for it, just avoid public hazards. What about a private yard? I probed. With consent? Your rodeo. Consent was key. Barbara didn't operate in a vacuum. She had the mayor's ear. Mayor Reginald Hargrove, a polished politico with a penchant for ribbon cuttings and fundraising galas, was her silent partner. She'd bankrolled his re-election. He ignored her overreaches. Perfect drop her BMW on his immaculate estate lawn, a poetic rebuke to their corrupt alliance. I pictured the headlines, the fallout, the sweet symmetry. Eddie was game. A BMW? My rigs hoist cranes, not coupes. I explained the context. Illegally parked, documented proof. His laugh boomed. Address me. We'll make it shine. We slated Saturday dawn, neighbors stirring, audience primed. I seeded rumors subtly. Keep cameras handy this weekend. With Barbara, I feigned defeat, shrugging at her taunts. You've won, I'd mutter. She glowed, oblivious. Sleepless the night before, I reviewed logistics. Cables rated for tons, flight path cleared, drop zone scouted. By sunrise, adrenaline surged. I poured coffee, stepped out in my robe, eyeing the BMW one last time. Soon, it would be airborne history. Saturday in Willowbrook typically meant garage sales and lawn care, the hum of mowers blending with birdsong. But this Saturday promised pandemonium. I played the part of the subdued homeowner, fetching a non-existent newspaper, exchanging pleasantries. Barbara emerged, sipping a green concoction, her voice saccharine. Learning yet? Suppose so, I replied meekly. Inside, my pulse raced Eddie's text. Inbound 0900. As the clock ticked, Barbara launched into a sidewalk seminar on curb appeal, pointing at my oak with disdain. Noncompliance breeds disorder. Neighbors nodded half-heartedly, but eyes flicked skyward at the distant thrum. Heads swiveled, pets yipped. What's that racket? The helicopter burst over the treetops, a behemoth of steel and noise, rotors pounding like thunder. Wind gusted, scattering leaves. Barbara frowned. This is zoned residential. The chopper hovered above her BMW, cables descending. Her confusion morphed to fury as Eddie's crew rappelled down, securing the vehicle with expert snaps. The crowd swelled, cheers mixing with the din. No, that's mine, she bellowed, charging forward. But the engine roared, and up went the BMW, tires lifting, body swaying. Sun caught the paint, sparkling like a jewel. Neighbors erupted applause. Whoops, videos galore. Barbara collapsed to her knees, arms flailing. Illegal. Theft. But my ducks were in row. Photos, witnesses, legal green light. As the chopper banked away, the street pulsed with energy. Little did they know, this was merely the opener. Revenge crystallizes in moments like that, a BMW ascending, Barbara's empire dangling by chains. Wind flattened yards, toppled umbrellas. Kids dashed about ecstatic, adults filmed in awe. Barbara was mayhem incarnate, gown billowing, voice shredding. My car. Stop them. Eddie's pros ignored her, signaling the lift. To them, routine. To us, epic. Unbelievable, a neighbor yelped. Laughter pealed as someone quipped. Finally, HOA approved elevation. Barbara whirled on me. You monster. I saluted with my mug. Lovely day, Barbara. The BMW climbed, chrome winking, a suburban marvel. She chased futilely, threats lost in the roar. As it crested roofs, the neighborhood mobilized, trailing the spectacle. Even distant residents emerged, querying the airborne oddity. Eddie's voice in my ear, locked in. En route to target. Epic, I replied. Barbara raged skyward, vowing retribution. The chopper vanished, but euphoria lingered. Pats on my back, heroic, from Harlan. I smiled knowingly this wasn't over. The thrum receded, but Willowbrook ignited. Clusters rewatched clips, Barbara a sodden mess in the road, mascara streaked. You'll regret this, she wailed. Yet, the true genius lay in the destination, Mayor Hargrove's sprawling manor. Eddie piloted over town, BMW suspended like a trophy. Traffic halted, crowds gawked, social feeds exploded. Flying car alert. By arrival, buzz peaked. Hargrove hosted a garden soiree, city bigwigs, crystal flutes, a jazz trio until shadows loomed. Rotors scattered linens, musicians fled. The BMW descended amid shrieks, thudding onto the emerald turf, crushing prized tulips. Hargrove blanched, hair askew. Outrage. Guests filmed the absurdity. Chains released, chopper departed. Memes surged, mayor's new ride. Back home, realizations dawned. Harlan cackled. His lawn? Brilliant. Barbara's call to Hargrove? A tirade met with blame. Your mess humiliated me. Media swarmed by dusk, anchors intoning neighborhood vendetta. Barbara spun assault on authority, but tides shifted. Online, overdue karma. Hargrove distanced himself, fining her for damages, probing HOA graft. In a flash, Her throne toppled. Postmayor's lawn BMW. Willowbrook, breathe easy. No patrols, no citations, just normalcy. Barbara convened an urgent board meet, but support evaporated. Your actions invited this, a former ally stated. Voted out, she faced charges, trespass, nuisance. Fines mounted, scrutiny deepened. The suburb transformed friendly waves, unhindered barbecues. Harlan toasted, you liberated us. I reflected, not vengeance, but equilibrium. Bullies falter when challenged cleverly. Barbara never admitted fault, slinking about before selling her BM tainted by infamy in her home. As the van departed, relief washed over us. Willowbrook reclaimed its soul. In the end, this taught me that injustice festers in apathy. Barbara's grip relied on our silence, but exposure shattered it. Not everyone needs a helicopter, but stand firm with wit and resolve. It's about reclaiming dignity against overreach. What do you think? Share in the comments. Have you faced similar injustices or bullies in your life? Do you believe such bold actions border on vigilante justice? Or are they necessary against unchecked power? Take a stand, express your views on violence and unfairness in everyday settings. Your stories could spark real change.